Going on to you, Cancer. So you have the Sun, the Empress, the Queen of Cups, Queen of Wands, the Ace of Wands, Seven of Cups, the Lovers, the World, the High Priestess, and you have the Page of Pentacles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 10 cards are Major Arcana. So for you, Cancer Crabs, there's a sense of letting go of the past to become something and someone new, right? The Sun, the Empress, is very much so about a person that's not necessarily looking back and dealing with something that you've already dealt with, right? And reviewing it. Again, this is very much so you, Cancer Crabs, moving forward in your own said life. The Queen of Cups is very much so you, in the sense that, and with all of this new emotional maturity that a lot of you Cancer Crabs have gotten, you know that the mistakes, or I should say, you really don't want to repeat the same mistakes that you've lived or you've been through before. And that's what the meditation, or some of you, you'll say prayer. It just depends on what position you're in, right? Because there are differences. But a lot of you Cancer Crabs are, like I said, very much so changed individuals. And the Queen of Wands and the Ace of Wands represents how you carry yourself with way more dignity than you did before. And that 2-3 years ago, you may have tried to seek revenge, wilded out on a couple of people, right? Maybe even have done something real stupid. But now in 2023, a lot of you Cancer Crabs see that that would be a terrible idea. Maybe even if you got away with prank calling a couple of people, or just pranking people, trying to get back at people, pranking individuals, or playing games where it's like you're trying to convince other people that you into them so that they can set something up and then ghost them. You Cancer Crabs realize that that's not really the best thing for you to do, because at the end of the day, that's still wasting your own time. So excuse me. So the Seven of Cups is about how the best thing for you Cancer Crabs to do is to not get caught up with it. The Seven of Cups is, yes, it represents options, but in certain regards, if you're not careful, it can also represent distractions. It could represent a lot of distractions that are happening around you, and that if you're not paying attention to it, you can fall and make the mistake of getting lost into one or all or many of those cups, right? It just depends on where you are and what it is that you're able to see, right? And how you use these cups. Are you getting into these situations to use them as a distraction? The quality of these hobbies and these things that you do, or is it the people that you're engaging with, the quality of the people that you interact with? Are they on point? The Lovers represents the lovers in the world right here. World represents Capricorn. So the Lovers in the world is about, and it just depends on the quality of the person or the people in general that you end up talking to. It really does. So a lot of you Cancer Crabs now, you may want to start talking to some people, making yourselves open, willing to be open to talk to people. And you Cancer Crabs may not necessarily be sure how others will receive you. And to be honest with you, it just really depends, it really depends. It really depends on whom it is that you talk to. You're going to have people who play games out here, but that's not necessarily what it is that you should be worried about. Like when you go up to somebody, right, you shouldn't be worried about if a person is playing games. When I go up to somebody in the past, I'm not really worried about the games that they playing, you know, because I know that at the end of the day, they like to make it seem like, you know, they like to cover that, all of that up. But I've seen most of that stuff already, you know, and I'm still willing to learn, keep an open mind, see the differences between when someone is being honest and when someone is playing games. And I've protected myself over the years. And the same thing for you. You know, you don't really have to worry about if someone is going to play games, right? A lot of the times, see, the problem that a lot of you Cancer crabs have is that when you are getting to know people, what gets you upset is the idea that you don't really take a panoramic view of the person that you're really interacting with. A lot of the times you Cancer crabs can pretty much see exclusively what it is that you want to see. And you have the same type of problem that Virgo does, where you mess with someone only for their potential and not who they are now and their potential. Those are the two things. And this is why it is I say that you really have to build with people based upon who they are now and where it is that they're going to be, right? So because if a person is wilding out like this, their mind is all over the place. So the last thing they're thinking about is learning humility, learning how to let certain things go, right? You know, when people want to be disrespectful, still learning how to let stuff like that go. And the thing about it is that the high priestess is about, and the ability for you to see that is something that you Cancer crabs have seriously have had to develop, because the Page of Pentacles, right, is about how, you know, things didn't really necessarily come easy for you to be able to develop that, you know, to start exercising that level of self-control and discipline to where even no matter how attractive the person is, you still won't necessarily go for it per se, because you want to understand the quality of the person before you decide to interact with the person. And yeah, you know, that's exactly how it is that you really should be. You know what I mean? You should be providing value or bringing in value from day one as you get to know the person. But at the same time, you're also sitting back and understanding how the person is perceiving it as well. So let's clarify some of these cards. Let's clarify the High Priestess. All right, so, excuse me. Two of Pentacles, the Hermit, a lot of Virgo energy with this. The King of Swords and the Magician. Yeah, a lot of Virgo energy. The Two of Pentacles, the Hermit, to clarify the High Priestess, is about, and that's another thing too, you know, don't wait when you know someone, they're who they are now and where it is that they want to go or where they're headed doesn't match, where, you know, it looks like they have potential, but they still on the same. And I remember the Libra person who I was rocking with went to jail for credit card fraud and tried to convince me that they were a changed person, but then at the same time still was wilding out and doing all this stuff. And it's like, again, people really will hide. People really will try to make it seem like they're decent people and they've learned from their mistakes, but they still doing the same goofy stuff. The King of Swords and the Magician is about how, you know, and because of this is the reason why it is that you need to judge people not only based upon who they are now at this moment, but where it is that they're going to be. And if you're seeing any kind of metamorphosis, any kind of changes where they're actually heading in their direction towards being great or greater people, if they're not, right? Because you don't want to discriminate where if it's a person who's making a transition from being super rough around the edges, regardless of who it is on either side, to now they really are making a change. You don't want to start making that serious bias decision making, where it's like they're legitimately changing. So the King of Swords and the Magician represents, but it's up to you to really be able to decide for yourselves, Cancers. Don't allow people to just present themselves as being low lives with no kind of change, but then they tell you that they're on the verge of becoming someone better.